right now. It's ABC24 This Week with Richard Ransom.
Welcome to ABC24 This Week. I am Richard Ransom, and we're always glad you decide to spend part of your Sunday with us to get the real story behind the big stories. Let's get right to our topics for today. First up will be the developing story surrounding the federal indictments of County Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr. This week he got suspended from his city job while his fellow commissioners took a more passive response to his troubles. In fact, they ignored a plea from County Mayor Lee Harris that Ford be temporarily suspended from voting on any future matters regarding grants for nonprofits. Meantime, the feds presented 80,000 pages of evidence to the court this week. We'll also talk about the efforts by state lawmakers to take over Memphis-Shelby County schools. Local groups are hoping to stop those efforts in their tracks. Will they be successful, or are those groups about to learn a lesson about going up against a Republican supermajority which sees the state's largest school district as a poster child for corruption in public education? And finally, a not much talked about story in the Daily Memphian this week that sure caught our attention. The city's crime consultant says Memphians are just too hard on themselves about Memphis's crime problem. Does he have a point, or is the city's crime consultant tone deaf to what Memphians are experiencing? We will get to all of that here in a minute after I introduce my elusive panel that is just as wonderful as they all are every week. Otis Sanford is ABC24's political consultant. Catherine Burgess is a reporter with MLK50.com. And Tawan Stout Mitchell is a political consultant. All right, guys, let's talk about the Ford situation. You know, I've been in this business for a long time. And I think just about every other year there's a story about a Ford politician in trouble. And here we go. Edmund Ford Jr. is the latest, and it's pretty serious, Otis. 80,000 pages of evidence. Bribes, kickbacks, tax evasion, and as you know, we've covered federal cases for a long, long time. Federal prosecutors do not mess around. If they hand down an indictment or hand up an indictment, it's pretty serious.
Absolutely serious, and this is one of the more serious ones that I've seen in many years. And I've been around here covering federal indictments going all the way back to the late 1970s. I mean, people of that age will remember names like County Commissioner Lee Hyden, Public Works Director Jim Butler, State Senator Ed Gillick. All those folks were indicted on corruption charges, taking kickbacks to push legislation in county and state government. And this is one of those. The fact that the feds took a while to do that, we were talking about that off air, I know why. Because they were being methodical about this. They have information about his taxes or lack of paying taxes on some of these funds that he got from the grants, or allegedly got from the grants. They have video of him taking money from bank accounts at ATMs where the money was deposited. There is just a host of things in this indictment that are really, really troubling for Commissioner Ford, you know, I would like to see what his defense is going to be.
One of the things that developed this week, Catherine, was a desire from the county mayor asking the county commission to say, hey, you ought to consider forbidding or suspending at least any ability for Ford Jr. to vote on any future matters regarding nonprofit grants. But that fell on deaf ears with the commission. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, this is not the first time Lee Harris has asked for that. He asked that Ford Jr. be kept from making grant proposals back, I think it was in 2021, after he was found to have violated the county charter and the county ethics provisions. So Lee Harris asked for that then. He was told no, and now he's asking for it again. There is a bit of a complication, which is that the chair of the county commission cannot ban someone from making these types of proposals. They would have to vote on each individual grant proposal as a commission to shut anything down. So it is a bit complicated, but it could be done still.
Well, we also know that through all of this that there has been a push to, I don't know, tighten up the ethics rules with the commission, and they did seem a little more amenable to that.
Yes, there's been an ongoing conversation for quite some time about ethics rules, including the ethics board for the county, which has not been able to meet. They have not been able to make a quorum for years. And the mayor has tried to fix this, and the county commission has not really been amenable to appointing new members to that board. So there's been a bit of a tension there. It's been mainly behind the scenes, but I'm hoping this will actually push some things forward so they actually will have that ethics board.
Joanne, you know, it's no secret that there's been a lot of tension between Mayor Harris and Edmund Ford pretty much since they both got to elected office. And that was reflected by Ford Jr.'s father as they left the courthouse when this comment was made. by Edmund Ford Sr. Leaving federal court this week.
The mayor got to be careful. He's the one. Take out careful. Very blessed day. But the mayor needs to be quiet right now.
The mayor needs to be careful. The mayor needs to be quiet. Sounded a little threatening. What do you think's going on with that?
I prefer, his wife, I've noticed her quiet stance, but I remember during her husband's trial, she carried her Bible and prayed almost every day. I prefer that approach and good legal counsel. I think that's the safest way to do that and not intimidate witnesses in any way, or people in any way. I do want to say that the county has a responsibility, just like they asked for an internal audit with the school system. They need to look at their own systems of control within county government as it relates to grants. And I don't mean just one person's grant, but all of the grants and the delivery of services, how they are checked and verified if they're used for what they're intended for. And they have an internal audit, but they can also ask for an external audit to see if they can improve their processes and procedures to catch probably problems in the future. I like thinking about when a problem arises, how can I plug that hole? And how can I make sure that we have some systems in control in place that will help us to do that? And certainly, they should ask for an external audit.
Well, isn't it a bit ironic, if not hypocritical, Otis, that this county commission that wants to put the hammer down on MSCS and the school board is in trouble already with the state and the state comptroller for not doing the budget properly for several years?
Absolutely. And in this case, with the Edmund Ford case, they sounded very tone deaf the other day by trying to be defensive about these grant proposals, as if there's nothing wrong with this process, and we'll just let the legal thing play out. That was tone deaf to me. But a couple of very quick points here. Catherine didn't say this, but I'm going to say it. It was her stories back in 2021 about the Junior Achievement Grant, $450,000, that started this, because the allegation then was that he sold $45,000 in computers to Junior Achievement. Even after those stories, and there were more than one story, according to the indictment, he continued to do it. And that is the reason I say that his privileges for even suggesting grants should somehow, I don't care how difficult it is, it should be taken away. And this ethics board has been a joke here. Hasn't met. Hasn't even, I think it was Michael Whaley who said he's on the board, but he's never even been at the meeting. They never met. Because, and that, to your point, Richard, shows just how hypocritical the county commissioners are right now in not taking care of their own house, but they're throwing stones, whether they need to be thrown or not, at the school board.
And what really strikes me is that people have known for quite some time that there are flaws in the grant process. There's the Community Enhancement Grant Program, where each commissioner basically gets $200,000 to allocate kind of however they want.
Which is amazing to me. Yes. I never understood that.
And then there's also other grants, like the Junior Achievement Grant that we wrote about at the Commercial Appeal and wrote about the problems with Edmund Ford Jr. So people have known there are problems in several different types of grant processes, and nothing's been fixed.
Nothing's been done.
When are commissioners going to listen to what taxpayers are demanding of their politicians and their leaders?
Well, they will listen because soon we will have a new election. And when we have that election, they need to be able to answer to the public how we plan to correct this problem and take a look at themselves as well as all the other grants.
Yep.
I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know that they need to ask for external audit of the grant process, as well as how do you audit if the funds were used as they were intended.
That's right.
And the public should demand, I'm not going to get into personalities of this. I want to get into the structure and process being effective and being effective leaders to make sure the money that we invest in these programs are used for the intended purposes.
Well, it just puts, to me, it's just ripe for corruption. If you give each commissioner $200,000 to spend as they please,
Right.
And you're holding that kind of carrot and that big fat check, then it wouldn't invite corruption and issues like what we see here.
And none of the other commissioners are asking any questions about it.
I will
That's
say
the
one
problem.
commissioner is. Commissioner Mick Wright has long
Oh,
been a
right.
critic of the grants
I'll
program.
give him
and
credit.
he's been
I'll give
asking
him
some
credit.
questions and pointing some things out. So there's at least
He
one.
absolutely
One.
has.
1 out of 13.
That's 1 out of 13.
Progress.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to leave it there. When we come back, we'll talk about state efforts to take over, in some respects, what's going on with the Memphis Shelby County School Board. Some developments with that this week, and we'll get into it in just a minute.